welcome to RezoCast episode 36. This is Lego, and I've got with me Hov and Triton, and we were going to have our special guest Mtashed here tonight, but he had some family stuff come up, but he might show up later on throughout the podcast. But yeah, we're just going to continue on, talk about some Destiny 2 stuff, and if he jumps in, then we'll give him a proper introduction when the time comes as the one and only Rumble King. I won't take that title. I'll take like Fusion Rifle King or something like that. but
Court Jester.
Anyway, this week, my week's just been catching up on all the D2 news, getting excited about everything, just like everybody else. I wasn't here last week on the podcast because I had some work stuff going on. So I didn't get to talk about my experiences with the reveal and everything like that. I want to get to all of that stuff again a little bit. I don't want to rehash everything too much for you guys, because Hov and Triton did a really good job. Good job, guys. I loved hearing you guys talk about it, and with having Booker on and Fury, that was really awesome. Glad to have those guys on and hear their lovely voices.
Yes, I love them.
But I did get to watch the reveal from a plane. Like, I was getting on a plane as the reveal was happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna miss it, and then all of a sudden on the plane they were like, listen, you can log in for our free Wi-Fi, and I was like, oh yes, I get to do it. So I got to keep up with all the stuff as it was happening. That was like super excited. My wife was like, oh my gosh, calm down,
Relax.
Yeah, relax. I was like, no, it's Destiny 2. But it was awesome. But yeah, so that was kind of my week. How's your week been, Hov?
Pretty good. I mean, we had Destiny 2. That's kind of been the big thing going on. Definitely some more stuff has come out and been sort of confirmed and or just leaked or whatever since we were last live. But that was definitely a really exciting hour or so, the reveal stream. It was a lot of cool stuff, a lot of new stuff. Other than that, Trials was, for me, I liked Exodus Blue. I didn't get to play as much as I wanted, but I had a really good week, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's still, I'm going to say this every week until Destiny 1's over, but it's still Trials. Like, there were still stickies and icebreakers and everything, but, I liked it. Been playing some more Overwatch, too. So, gaming's been gaming, but, definitely Destiny 2 being the big thing going on right now.
Yeah.
Triton, have you heard of that game?
Yeah, I think so. I may or may not have a pre-order. I may or may not have abused that pre-order $5 at GameStop to get a bunch of those Cade statues. But yeah, I have heard of Destiny 2. And coming off of the reveal and then, obviously the podcast we had, it's really been a neat experience this week because I've reconnected with a couple people. Like, they're like, are you going to get it? Obviously I'm going to get it, but it's like, you're always wondering, you can get the beta,
get it, girl.
We got to do these things together. So it's kind of brought back, some good memories with people I haven't played with in a while that just, are looking to come back to the game and looking to reconnect. So I think that's always a fun time to kind of rehash old memories and hopefully forge some new ones when the beta comes out in Destiny 2. But otherwise, it's been a pretty good week. Haven't been able to play too much gaming in general. So I ended up actually spraining my wrist real bad.
Oh my gosh, right?
So I ended up spraining my wrist. So I haven't been able to do much of anything. It's like in some kind of snaphoid snuff box area, so my thumb doesn't actually work very well. So that's kind of the biggest thing. I tried to play a little bit and couldn't use my thumb.
What did I tell you about doing that so often?
I know Ho was going to make a comment like that. So it's actually interesting. I injured it, but it was like a non-impact injury, and he thinks it's just usage from throwing so much to my kids baseball or hitting them grounders, and then I kind of kept re-spraining it because it's also my writing hand. But I think the most telling thing was they actually drew blood work because it wasn't a non-impact, and I flagged mildly positive for I think ANA, which is like potential arthritis. And I'm like, man, I'm not that old, I shouldn't have arthritis. But
oh my gosh,
that would be terrible. But yeah, so it was a good week otherwise, and yeah, the Destiny news, and still excited for all the things for Destiny 2, but I can't enjoy anything
call that a good
right
week.
now. So trying to still be positive, even though I can't do much of anything. So
well, real quick, Botbuster hit the nail on the head in chat. He said, Triton literally has no thumbs now.
That's definitely true, Bob. That'll be my excuse for a long time when when these guys are carrying me around the Crucible. I'll definitely be citing this injury for into the foreseeable future, at least 2019.
Oh my gosh, brutal. Well, it looks like, people who have been doing carrying are going to have to work even harder in D2. Everybody's saying the gameplay's slower now. It's going to be more of a skill gap. That's the word on the street that I'm hearing, at least. Now that you guys have had a chance to sit on it for a little bit, it's been a week since the podcast. You kind of digested a little bit, said some positives, said a few things that maybe you wish they didn't do at the reveal. Do you still stand by all those initial reactions? Is there anything that's grown for you, or any fears that have come up in the week that you've had to digest all of this?
I think the whole power ammo situation, I was a little worried about sniping being kind of dead. Obviously, I still think it's going to be less prevalent. There's just going to be less ammo. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be as bad as I was first hoping. Not hoping at all. First fearing. Like I said, it's still going to only be one person, but if it's popping up like every minute or something, and you do get 6 to 8 shots, I've heard, in like a sniper.
Yeah.
Still remains to be seen if you keep that when you die. Because
I don't
functions.
think you will. I heard you guys talking about that, and I was like, "There's no way that they would." The way that it works, like the way that it balances out, I feel like you'd have to lose it, or else you would have that. I don't know. I just don't. Well, I guess it could,
because
you
only get one rocket.
Yeah.
Nobody has seen any heavy machine gun. Everyone just kind of assumed,
true.
What's going to happen with heavy machine gun ammo? No one's seen a heavy machine gun. So we don't even know if they're going to be in the game. Maybe grenade launchers replaced them.
Yeah.
Even grenade really launchers, true. You get 4 grenades, and they're 2-hit kill. So at most you get 2 kills out of it.
Yeah.
Which can be good, but it's not like you're hoarding and all that. I don't know. I hope that you don't lose it.
Yeah.
What's one rocket? Especially if you're the only one getting it. It's not like everybody got one rocket and they're going to keep it, and everyone's going to get another rocket.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about that is I was watching some of Mtashed footage from the event earlier, and there was a clip where the more I watch the D2 stuff, the more I think Halo in my mind whenever I'm, especially with the power ammo stuff, because it's so like ammo. The ammo works like kind of the same way with picking up those power weapons, whether it be a sniper rifle or a rocket or whatever. And so when I was watching Mtash's gameplay, and he had a moment where he killed someone with a sniper rifle, and the sniper rifle like flopped out, like in Destiny, your guns, when you die, it kind of flops away from you. And I thought for a second, my mind was thinking Halo so much that he could like pick up the sniper rifle or something like that and just run off with it and take that sniper rifle ammo and start going to town. But that's just how much it looks like Halo to me whenever I'm watching that gameplay, and it makes me really excited for that weapon economy in general, because I know neither of y'all come from the Halo background, but for someone who does, I feel like they're immediately excited once they make that connection, like, oh yeah, I remember how great it was to have the power play moments for the sniper rifle. It'll be the same thing, but for power ammo, So I'm excited for that.
I'm saddened now because Mr. Popo in chat said that TV and Lumi confirmed you do lose sniper ammo on death.
Okay. So
Which makes me sad.
See, I think it makes it more even, like gameplay wise. Like, and I almost feel like the special ammo changes, like now that we've seen what Destiny 2 is, it's almost like they're preparing us for this switch, like making the special ammo changes that they made. I don't like it in Destiny 1, but it feels like, oh, hey, this is kind of a feel for we're moving towards the primary thing, and we're going to be making power plays for the special ammo. I don't know. Well, it's interesting.
It's also like an alpha build for the most part.
Yes.
Pre-alpha maybe, even if you want to go, with that. So you never know. But I don't know. I just think it's one of those things, and I think Hovey talked about it a lot when we had him on, that he hopes that any move to competitive doesn't take away some of the fun and some of the things about Destiny that makes it unique. And to be completely honest, if you do lose that ammo and only one person gets it and there's a lot less sniping and like shotgun play, yeah, maybe it's moving towards a more balanced, competitive thing, but what do you see in every Destiny montage and every video like that? It's all the cool snipes and that kind of stuff. And, for me, it's great that they want to go competitive, and that'll help grow the game, with PC coming and being involved with Blizzard and everything. But, I think sniping is one of the things that made Destiny so much fun to watch. Hovey talked about that too. He said No Land is so much easier to get a triple with than something in like Halo or Counter-Strike. He's like, but it looks super badass compared to those games. And that's what made it so much fun. So, it all remains to be seen. I'm not judging either way. I'm still going to play the shit out of it. I'll still adapt and play the game, but I just don't want Destiny to lose what made it Destiny, what made it so much fun. It's the most watched. I've said this plenty of times, but I think Irk just tweeted out for the third year in a row, it's the most watched console-only game on Twitch. Most streamed and most watched.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, I'm definitely with Hove here on that notion, because I think, in LEGO, it makes sense, if you're borrowing elements from other games, and obviously they have a lot of Bungie is Halo, and so pretty much in its origin. So borrowing some of those elements, I think, is fine. And obviously the gunplay and the feel comes from those roots there too. But Destiny should have its own identity for sure. And I'm totally with Hove, and I guess by extension Hovey, in that the sniper montages are awesome. I mean, that's what I really enjoy doing. There's an element to Destiny that makes it so much more watchable. Where like I've watched sniper Halo montages, and I know there's like almost zero aim assist, so in many ways it's like super impressive that those happen, but it's just like not the same feel. It just doesn't, they don't like go to music that well. And this is all like a really selfish-y thing to say, or really doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's something I personally enjoy. So hopefully they kind of keep their identity, and the changes to go to competitive, I think, Hove definitely alluded to this a little bit, like that's great in a lot of ways, but let's kind of keep Destiny still being fun, because that's really what grabbed people. I mean, Hovey was big on, when he was on our podcast, I just want to have fun with this game. There's so many people that just have fun. I think there should be room for there to be competitive play, but there definitely still needs to be room for it to be the game that we love, with incremental improvements based on the 3 years that we've had. So again, I'm with Hove as well. We can't know until we actually play it. What people experienced in LA will probably definitely won't be 100% as what we see in September. Right. So we'll all give it a chance. But those are just things that would come to my mind. Hopefully it still feels like I'm playing Destiny.
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, it kind of goes better with music and is more fun. And like, a lot of people watch Halo and CSGO and all of those competitive things, but like, you have to be invested in it. Yeah. I'm not going to watch it because it's exciting. I'm going to watch it because I want so-and-so team to win, or I want to learn or something. But like, for pure enjoyment, maybe I'm in the minority, or maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. But I don't want to watch like a Halo montage for the most part. There's some fun ones, but just strictly gameplay with some music, it just doesn't. It's not as flashy. It's not as fun. It's not as entertaining.
I'm with you, Hove. I mean, they have, I think TBS shows that like E-League, right, where it's like CSGO and it's like, really competitive. I've watched it a few times, and some of those dudes obviously are on a different level, and it's, keyboard and mouse and everything else. But like CSGO sniper shots sometimes will be like, because it's a one-hit kill with like the super sniper rifle, for lack of any kind of knowledge on that, and they're shooting people in the leg, and it's like a kill. It's like an insta-kill, quick drag leg shot. When I think about Hovey's montage with like the Reachway, the one he released, and it's just like perfectly timed to the music, and it's like quick scopes and all kinds of quick drags, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch, and I think a beautiful thing to create, and I think that's what's given Destiny to some degree a part of its identity, or something that kind of resonates with me, and that I personally will enjoy, because I will watch several montages of Destiny snipers, and I've almost never watched more than like a couple minutes of like a Halo one or something. And maybe it's because I don't play the game, but it's just there's just like an artistic quality about it with Destiny, and I think hopefully they retain that in some way. And I know some people may be like, hey, that's a real stupid thing, but at the same time, it's just something that we both enjoy. I mean, derive enjoyment from different things. I
think it goes to show, like, there's a reason that it is the most watched and streamed game console only, and it's because it's like approachable. Mm-hmm. It's easy to jump in and watch it. You don't have to know what's going on. You don't have to be invested in the game. And Mr. Popos in chat said, kind of sums up what we've been talking about real well. He said, I just feel like Destiny's real pull at first was that it's not just another competitive shooter, It's something new and different, and I just hope they keep that and not move to just another shooter.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the biggest thing. If you're balancing everything, and everything is just this kind of gun and this kind of gun, they all do the same damage, grenades are the same, they don't do anything cool, what differentiates one shooter from another?
Right.
Yeah. And
In
I
all
think,
honesty, at the core.
You know, something that we need to take into consideration, too, is that 6v, not 6v6, but like we have those Clash like 6v6 type game modes that were used to be more casual right now. Like we've only seen one game type of the 4v4. There could be a more relaxed 4v4 game type that's like, oh, you get all your ammo, you know, at start or something like that. And so I think it's very possible that we could see stuff like that, or maybe later on. I know we're not getting private matches right away, but maybe we'll get custom matches later that have the ability to like, hey, you start with any of this ammo and you can play the fun way that you want to play. I hope that there's game modes at the beginning, though, like from the get-go, because they already said we're not getting private matches, but I hope that there's game modes, right?
They said they haven't announced. I know it's not, or maybe it's not coming right at launch, but they have something to announce something.
So
I mean, it's definitely going to come.
There's something coming. But in the meantime, I hope from launch there's game modes that, you know, apply to the more casual gamer. And I think they will do that because, you know, they got up there and talked about how accessible they want their game to be at the launch, you know, and it's like I think casual PvP is involved in that. Even if you're making it more balanced and more focused, that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun still. And so while the game mode we saw was very Trials-like, the countdown mode where there's rounds, you know, and it's very fast too. I think they fixed with that mode, like it could be a mode, not that replaces Trials necessarily, but if they want to put the Trials format in that, I think it would work.
It could be Trials.
Yeah, it could be, because a lot of the complaints of Trials was, oh, well, they just sit back, there's no movement. This forces you to move whenever there's a search and destroy like objective to move to. Like whenever I was watching the gameplay of it, I was like, oh my gosh, like you got to get to one of those points fast or else they're going to make a move, you know, and you're going to kind of be on the outside in a bad position. So you have to really move and make sure you know what's going on.
Yeah, and it you know, I like I said, I didn't come from a Halo background, and I've only seen a little bit of, you know, I did play with the original Halo and Halo 2 some in college at friends' places, but, you know, Halo 5 to then is not even worth comparing.
I never played Halo 5 either.
But just watching some of the few things, and again, I've turned on some, like, Halo tournaments when I've seen them on Twitch, and I'm kind of like, I watch it to see what's different, and then I don't care. But what I was getting to is, you know, we talked about them moving towards some Halo stuff, and, you know, they did make the original Halo. Even though they didn't make Halo 5, to me, the little bit of gameplay we've seen felt like Halo taking place in a Destiny world. Like, Destiny, like, guns and Destiny, you know, maps, but it felt very Halo. The movement looked less fast and maybe not interesting. I don't want to say it was boring, because that's not what I'm trying to say, but it felt very much like the granted little bit of Halo 5 I've seen.
Yeah.
But it definitely felt more like that. With Destiny type weapons, but still the movement and the just general gameplay of like a Halo. Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it all plays out. I'm like really excited about the dual primary kind of swap out and how the elementals will burn down other supers that match that elemental. And
doesn't have to match.
It doesn't have to match. So just elementals will burn down supers faster.
Yeah, I think they just do more damage in general. I think that's kind of the appeal of them. From what I understand.
That's crazy. I thought it was, I heard from somebody that it had to match, so I need to go look at my facts then and make sure that...
Well, a bunch of people had said that. That's what everybody was like first tweeting, and then some dev was like, no, correction, like it doesn't have to match. It just does more damage.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, I'm really excited for that chess match that's going to ensue, like, regardless. Like, I feel like everybody said whenever somebody popped a super, everyone was able to, like, they were powerful, but you could also team shot them if you knew what you were doing. Kind of like, you know, it is now whenever you don't have special ammo. So I'm just really curious to see how that all plays out. I haven't really got to hit on all the new supers and, like, the different ones that they have, like the Sentinel and just the Dawn Blade, and we got the Pole Dancer, and so, which isn't really, new. But even with the old ones, we get revamped, all that revamped stuff. And I know you covered a lot of this last week, but it was just cool to me to see, even though it's sad to see Twilight Garrison basically get put on the Dawn Blade.
You're going to be a warlock now.
Well, here's the thing. I was thinking about that, and there's so much that we haven't seen. Like, there's so much of the sub-trees from, like, Sentinel. We have no idea.
Yeah, well, there's so much that you can do in Destiny 1, and you still only Twilight Garrison. So I think you're going to be a warlock.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So maybe I will do that. But it's just interesting seeing we have like a secondary ability now that's not even your super. Every class has its secondary ability, and so for Warlock it's the healing thing, or at least for the Dawnblade. We don't even know for Nova what it's gonna be.
Right.
But so we've got these new sub abilities that we don't even know what they are for the other subclasses. Because the Titan one, at least for
the Titan one looks awesome.
See, the Striker one, that doesn't appeal to me, to like lay down a little ice block in front of yourself as a shield,
Well, that's because you're not strategic.
I am. No, I feel like that I want something strategic, and that, like, it could work out, like, well for me. I don't know. But that, it gets me, like, I'm, like, bummed that it didn't have exactly the options I was looking for, but at the same time, there's so many options for every subclass that I'm going to have so much fun exploring all of them and seeing which one feels right for me. I'm curious where I'll end up landing.
Well, keep in mind, there's two versions of it. There's also the big wall,
yes,
where you can completely like block off a room in Countdown.
Hey, when that happens, do y'all know if like you can't pass through that wall, or is it like you can go through it? It's like a force field kind of thing.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
So I heard someone say they didn't think you could. Holtzman or someone, a bigger YouTuber that was there, but I never heard any 100% confirmation.
Because I didn't see any. I didn't see anybody running that in PvP. They were always running the short wall to shoot over it.
Yeah, I would assume you can't because it's breakable. So I would assume that, like, you can shoot it and break it. So I would assume that it's kind of like, hey, I put this up. You can't get through it, but I could be completely wrong.
Dude, the Warlock one, the healing, it does look pretty freaking strong, though. Because the one gives you a shield, like you're, like, got Blessing of Light or something like that on you whenever you put it down, which is crazy.
It's healing, and if you have full health, it gives you, like, an overshield.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that
But they did say it's not so strong that you can just tank a gunfight.
Yeah.
You can't just put it down and fight someone.
Mm-hmm.
But
pretty awesome, though. I'm pretty excited.
Warlock has become... Dawnblade is like Titan now. Like, there's the bubble.
It's like...
There's Twilight Garrison.
It's like Sunbreaker.
You're going to be a Warlock. I'm telling you right now.
And a little bit of Defender in it. We'll see.
And a little bit of... You're gonna be a Warlock.
I'm super excited about the Sentinel. I want to see what that subtree likes, because if we talked a little bit about like what if the shield, like you could, like it was an alternate subtree ability to like have the Sentinel be the bubble Titan, to where he like puts down the shield and it makes a bubble or something like that, because we just don't know like how the supers will play out. Like there just so many possibilities right now. It's just like we're just guessing. But yes, Dawnblade looks really awesome. I might be running it for the Twilight Garrison perks, and being able to throw swords like hammers and throw down healing. Like that's a lot of good stuff. Not only that, but I feel like
Lego knows he's gonna run it. He just doesn't.
Here's the thing. My one problem with Warlocks right now is like the jumping with Warlocks. I just hate the way it feels so much, and it looks like all the jumps are really similar. Like I need to get someone who's played it to like tell me straight on, like, is it really that similar between them? Because it felt like I heard the same kind of noise between that first jump, the first boost that everybody gets. I know they still float down, the Warlocks, but the first jump, it felt really like a boost forward, not just I'm hovering.
You can do away with the floofing though. You can use the circle thing to dive to the ground.
Yes, there's I might just be running it. We'll see.
Well, that leads me to my question, since you weren't here last week. Day of first time you boot up the game, what are you running?
I've got to run Titan. I might not run Striker. I might be the Sentinel. We'll see. Because you may.
What do you mean might not? If listen, Lego, I know you're the podcast boss, but if you start up Destiny 2 with one of the old subclasses, you are off the podcast.
Well, here's the deal. You might
and my friends list.
Listen. You might not be able to start Destiny 2 as one of the new subclasses.
All right, well, that's fair. Like, that's the only way you get a pass.
Yeah, because in Destiny 1, you could choose between two of them, and that was it. You had to go and find the powers of the third. And I feel like Destiny 2, with the way they've talked about going and getting your abilities, that could just be referring to the sub skill tree, like going and filling out those blocks from the different lost sectors that you need to explore. But it could mean you have to go find that second subclass or third. We'll see how many we have. I'm not even sure.
You might be right, because I mean, really, if they're going more story based and we all of a sudden show up at the tower and all have new subclasses, I'm kind of going to be like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
why did I never use this before? All of a sudden, I just can do it. It's like Triton learning how to be good at Destiny. Like all of a sudden,
Well,
it
I
just
feel
doesn't
like
happen.
maybe
let's not get carried away here, Hov. That's not happening anytime soon.
there's a chance that you might have it right away, because in the first mission gameplay they showed off three of the new ones, all three of the new ones. So
Oh yeah,
which is
Yeah,
weird. That's
I
the
don't know.
first mission. So
yeah.
and it could just be the storytelling of it's been a few days, or it's been a few months since D1 happened, the end of D1, you've learned some new things maybe, and then you lose it all and have to go find, I don't know, who knows.
I'm still thinking, like, if that first mission, like, if you have powers, I'm wondering if, how at the end of everyone is thinking that energy shield around the Traveler, that's how we lose our powers, lose our light and all that. I think it would be cool if, you remember during the reveal at the end of that mission, you go down and you meet Gaul,
Yeah.
and he's like, your journey ends here or whatever, and Luke Smith was like, spoiler alert, you lose. Like,
Yeah.
You don't make it. It'd be cool if he personally took them from us. Like, you had your powers the first mission, and then he took your light or your powers or whatever. That would be cool. Instead of just like a generic, everyone lost their powers type of thing.
It would be cool if he killed you. Like, like it showed Zavala in that first trailer, like, dying over and over again, and Gaul personally kills you, and they, like, show that trailer just to show, like, your Guardian does actually get killed and get revived in the lore. Is what's happening, and Gaul kills
zombies.
you and takes your light somehow.
Well, now that you guys have mentioned that, maybe there's a chance that obviously for that build and reveal, they have you or allow you to be, one of the new subclasses and kind of the alter thing. So when we play that first mission, that's not going to be the case. Because as you were talking through that, like, basically the plot would be, so this is 2 months after Destiny 1, and by the way, here's this new power that you never got to have until mission 1 and lose it.
That.
That all of a sudden seems like horrible. So I'm thinking that, like, maybe obviously for a demo, you don't want the first mission to be like, oh yeah, remember Striker Titan? Here you go. Maybe it's drafted so that you get to do those things, because why would you want to go to a reveal? But in truth, when we play the game, you don't just start with this new ability that, like, they can't explain to you at all. That would just be a really bad start to a narrative that's supposed to be, like, crafted around story and lore.
Yeah.
When you guys both said that,
sense.
I'm like, wait a minute, I think it's for the demo, because that would be horrible.
They definitely did change stuff in the demo. I was listening to Birds on Crucible Radio, and he mentioned, and this is the first I heard this, but that secondary ability we were talking about, like the Healing Rift or any of those, they sped up the cooldown on that specifically in that build, so that people could use it more.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And kind of experience it, show it off. So that'll even be slower than what we saw in there.
That makes me think of the PvP stuff, how everybody was saying it takes, like, supers are strong, but it takes a long time to get them because there's no intellect, discipline, strength anymore, and that, you really have to use them logically. And it made me think of how the rounds, it's not whoever first to 5, it's first to 6. I wonder if that's to account for how infrequently you get to, do stuff. Super wise. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. But jumping back real quick, we mentioned the cutscenes. I haven't got to just boast about how much I love them yet because I wasn't here last week, but oh my gosh, those were amazing. And it looks so good I love the seamlessness of jumping from cutscene to plane, cutscene to plane. There was, and it just like flowed so well. It was another thing that reminded me a little bit of Halo, but it was so flawless in this Destiny universe to have it do that. And it was the thing that I was saying about having the NPCs come down and play with you, like Zavala and them coming down and using their super like next to you. Like that was just a little taste, and that was exactly what I was hoping for the reveal stream. I was like, I want from the moment you spawn in, it's like Zavala's yelling at you and he's there next to you on the front lines, and it was exactly what I wanted. Like I was like, I'm done, I'm sold already. Like they just showed me, Zavala yelling at you, I'm in. Like that was all I needed. But then the more that I watch it, the more polished it seems for an alpha too. Like nothing seemed like, I don't know. I know it was like that was
it's toned down. Yeah, they're only going to put in what they have polished.
Yes, but it was so perfect and so good and got me so hyped too. Like everything from the they did that trailer beforehand that showed bits of the story mission, and then when they actually showed the story mission, I was like 10 times more as hyped.
Yeah, and I thought it was really cool that speaking as Zavala, that Lance Reddick was there, the guy who voices Zavala.
Oh yes, that was awesome. That was like I wasn't that jealous of everyone who got together. Like I was like sad, like, oh man, all my friends are all in the same place at the same time. That would be cool. But then they said he was there, and I was like, oh, I love that guy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's there. And he was like pumped and excited too.
Yeah, he said he mains a warlock.
Yeah, and he like raided with Deej and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I still think of him from The Wire though. That's still what I see every time.
For me it's Fringe every time. I'm like,
I forgot he was on that.
Love that.
But
dude.
One thing, just since someone brought it up in chat, and I know you and I had talked about this a little bit later, Mr. Popos was saying that they've been talking about the beta in Hovey's Discord, thinking 7/7/17, with the whole sevens. I've heard 7/17/17.
Yes. So
they're both just guesses.
Yeah, so what it is the thing that I heard was Mesa Sean on his YouTube put out a YouTube video about how basically the new currencies, it's not Glimmer, there's like 2 different currencies that you see on the top right of the screen, and one of them is 9/8 for like the release of Destiny. Like it has that date up there, and then next to it says 17/17/7 next to that. You can see it in the gameplay when they go to the menu in the story mission, and so it's like, oh well, they have the Destiny release date, so why would they put another thing next to it? And if you put that backwards, it's 7/17/17, and it's like, well, that could be, the release date of the beta easily, like falls in the middle of July. And so
and that's when the first beta was for Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And the release date was only like a day different than what the release date of this game is. So.
Exactly. And so, spinfoil hat theories, it could be that date, it might not be, but I'd be.
What day of the week is that?
I can't remember. I don't know if I looked it up. While we're looking at that though, jumping back
Monday.
to it's a Monday. Okay.
The 7th is a Friday.
Yeah, I'm down. It sounds great. One more thing about the cutscenes real quick before we move on, and that was the showing of the tank. Like, I thought that was amazing. I know no one else cares about that, but like seeing another vehicle. Why doesn't that excite you at all? Like that is like, I love
drive a tank. I'll go play any army game ever.
Here's the deal though. For you who does not play much Halo, the tank symbolizes, another vehicle, and Bungie does vehicles really, really well. They did the same vehicle for a really long time, like the Warthog, but they had other vehicles in Halo, and seeing them do the Sparrow so well, and the other vehicles in Destiny never really found their place, but I think seeing something new and not the same, some other vehicle we've seen before in Destiny, just seeing something new, it's like, yes, they're experimenting with new things, maybe we'll get to see that play out in a different way. I'd really love to see some co-op stuff in a vehicle, but we'll see. I just love that there was something different, and the scenes that they showed it in that trailer looked freaking awesome, just plowing through stuff. So I think in the Destiny universe it works really well. Yeah, you could go play another game, but it won't feel like Destiny, and plowing down enemies with your Sparrow in Destiny feels really good. I can only imagine how a tank would feel.
I don't know, I guess. Seeing a tank to me wasn't a big deal because like we've fought spider tanks kind of thing. So like it never really. When I saw it, it's never like, oh yeah, we're gonna be in this thing. I guess it's just what my first impression, tank. And then it's just like a regular tank, and it's like, well, why is there a regular tank? I guess that's kind of like the only other one in the game is like that rusted one that you have to do that patrol on Earth and like keep scanning. It seems so. I can see where you're coming from, Lego, when you bring up the Halo thing. Like, if you saw that, then you would know because they do vehicles so well. But for me, it's like, doesn't have legs? Whatever. It's like,
doesn't have legs? You want to drive a
it's
spider
like not a
tank?
spider tank? Well, whatever.
That'd be kind of
Like,
cool, actually.
That would be kind of cool. I hope they kind of have a mission like that now. I'm like, oh my gosh, driving a spider tank. That'd be awesome.
Sorry, something in chat just threw me off. Tanks. I don't remember what I was going to... Oh, you were like, why is there a regular tank? We probably got it from the same guy who gave us No Land Beyond.
Yeah, right?
That guy.
That reminds me of, having those kind of primary, or those weapons that broke the meta, in this game. Reminds me of something a lot of content creators are talking about right now, and that's that, we've been talking about how this is kind of like an alpha build that we saw, maybe not even, that we saw for this premiere, and that everybody played, and how the weapons made it feel really slow. Like, you were slower in general, and some people are suggesting, during a lot of the other previews that we've had for like Taken King and stuff like that, there was not great weapons to use in those builds that they got to play whenever they were testing it. So maybe there's other stuff that is more powerful. I don't think, I think that's true. There's tons of stuff we haven't seen. What I don't think is that it's going to mean that there's going to be that much faster of a gameplay, because I think that the 3 melee hit kills, instead of 2, is what is kind of like a telltale sign, like, hey, we're slowing down the game a little bit, because that was like the baseline. That 2-hit kill was kind of the speed at which the top speed you could go, unless you had a power weapon or something like that. So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts about the whole like gunplay and it being an alpha build and us haven't seen everything yet.
Well, that actually makes me think, and not to go back to this, but quickly, like, that's one of the problems now. They keep slowing down primaries, and that's bad in a way, but they wanted the game to be slower. They didn't want it to be Call of Duty, twitchy fast. And the thing that really threw that off was one-hit kill specials.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe that is a sign that, sniping will be much less. You will lose the ammo. It will be like a once-in-a-while type of thing. Because now that you mentioned that, like, if you make your baseline kill like 3 melees, slower gunplay, longer time to kill, and then you have people running around with one-hit weapons all the time, that kind of negates that completely, and you're going to go back to a power weapon meta instead of a special weapon meta like we have. So
I do kind of hope we get that power weapon like game type though. Like, I think that would be really fun. I know I said it earlier, but like some sort of mayhem clash thing where you just get power ammo immediately. That would be awesome.
Tater Touch just asked a question for Lego, which made me just think my new purpose. It made me realize my new purpose in playing Destiny 2.
What is it?
He said, question for Lego, there's no more green, so are you going to wait around for power ammo now?
Heck yeah.
And no, because I am stealing it every time we play together. No more fusion rifles for Lego.
No, my goal might just be to like keep it away from the other team. Like, don't go towards our box, our whole 4-man.
I don't care if the other team gets it.
You just don't want me to get it.
It could be the other team's dead and waiting to respawn, and you're going to be like, okay, I'll go to this box, you go to this box. I'm following your ass to the other box and letting them get in the other one.
Oh my gosh. Well, if I'm running
New
the
objective
Titan
game
class,
mode.
If I am running the Titan class, I'll be sure to put up that shield wall behind me so you can't get to it.
Well, if we're on a team, I think I can go through it.
Can you imagine Hov doing that to me? Like, every game I run towards the hallway and he throws down the big shield and I can't even get to it.
That would seriously be like, who cares about sniping? Take snipers out of the game. I just want to steal Lego's power ammo. I don't even care. Seriously, you don't understand how excited I am right now. I just became so much more excited for Destiny 2 than I ever was before.
Oh, man. Well, there was one more thing. I didn't really get to talk at all about the frames per second thing. I don't want to dive into that too much because I feel like y'all did a good job covering it last week, and I feel like people are going to be talking about it forever. And as soon as the game comes out, it's going to be a real big thing. I think having PlayStation and Xbox being the 30 frames per second and PC getting the 60 frames per second. There was something interesting I was thinking about with that dilemma, because a lot of content creators are going to stay on PS4 just to get the right away, all the early edition stuff on the PS4. They're going to be later on switching to PC. So we'll see how that dynamic plays out. But one thing that I was thinking about with this change, and everybody's saying like, okay, 60 frames per second, if you're majorly into PvP, if that's your thing, if you want to compete, you need to move to PC because that's where it's going to be. And people keep saying that, but that's making me think, do you think that there's a chance that that's going to open the doors for consoles to be a little more casual? Like, I know people are still obviously going to want to win and stuff like that, but if like major players are moving towards the PC and PC is going to be where PvP's at, do you think that that's going to change the layout of the way the game looks, especially later on, like after it's been here for a while, and a lot of casuals drop out?
I mean, I think just by nature, it'll make consoles, even if it's not a big difference, it'll make them slightly more casual, right?
I would think so. I don't know.
I don't think Destiny 2 is going to bring a bunch of new competitive console players in.
Yeah,
But it'll bring in any large chunk of new competitive players are going to go to PC. And while I don't think it'll die on console, even if people play who mained PS4 now play PC half the time, that's still half the time those people aren't on there. And I know I've seen a lot of people still want it to be on PS4, but you do have like a Triple Wreck, for instance. I think I saw him say that he's going to main PC, but he'll probably still play PS4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they're moving there, I don't think it's going to completely... It's not like it's going to be a ghost town. But, just by nature, you're going to have some movement to PC and not a lot of competitive movement to PS4 and console. So, yeah, I think it will get a little bit more casual. I don't think it's going to be a real big difference.
Yeah.
But the thing that hurts it is we don't know when it's coming out for PC.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have a release date for that yet.
Is it just like hey, we need to... Because they haven't even said why. Is it just we need to clean it up, we need to get it ready for PC? Because a lot of people said it looked and felt great.
Yeah,
like just as good. Or is it kind of like whether it's a deal with Sony or whatever, or even just hey, we want it to stay on console a little bit, so they're purposely going to push it back. Will every DLC release late for PC, or is this just a launch thing?
I feel like it will, and the reason I feel like it will is because they have another company working on basically the port to PC, right? Like they hired another company to work with them for that reason, and if that's the case, then Bungie themselves, I feel like, while they'll both be working on it simultaneously, I feel like it's gonna come out for these consoles first. And not only that, but let's be honest, like they want to push PS4 with their deal that they have with them, so they're always gonna try and come out with PS4 stuff first, even if it means coming out with Xbox as well. But I don't know, I'm curious how it plays out too. That would be my thinking, that it would continue to new content would continue to come to the consoles first, but I don't know, it may make PC players very upset.
That would really hurt the PvE side of PC, don't you think?
The PvE
side, if you don't get stuff, raids come out later.
No
worlds first on PC.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's true, because you don't want stuff spoiled for you. Like you want to be able to play it for yourself day one. Man, that's going to be tough. I don't know what's going to happen. That does make me think that it's going to come out, that kind of stuff at the same time, but I guess we'll see.
Because, I mean, if that happens, like I said, even just something, Worlds First is a big deal for Destiny raids. And if the PC population can't do that, that's kind of like I don't want to say half the fun out of raids, but the initial, like, exploration and competition of it is gone.
Well, do you think that it's kind of one of those things, though, too, if you're on a PC, and I don't want to make an assumption, I don't want to make like a sweeping generalization, but, you're kind of there for that competitive side. Maybe you're not there for the PvE, even though you're going to need maybe some of those PvE weapons that I just haven't come across anyone that's like, I'm solely going to go to, PC and I'm super into it and everything else, for all aspects, where it seems like a lot of people are like, it's always been for me on this console, this is where I got to know all my friends, so I'm always going to be here, but maybe I'll dive into PC, mostly just to play with more people. Everyone that seems to want to play on more consoles or PC, to me, seems to be like, so I can play with everybody, or if you're a streamer, so I engage all of my audience or things like that. I haven't met anyone who's really come out, and I guess that would be a very limited sample, that's like, I'm going to be on PC 100%. That would probably be someone who's like, I don't want to be having to avoid streams for 2 months, 3 months, whatever for that. To everyone's point about like, is it going to make consoles more casual and, maybe PC more competitive. If it is that way, if it does break that way potentially, I don't know. If I'm competitive, I just want the best weapon and that'll be it. I don't know if I'm there for the experience as much, or maybe that will change. I don't know. It's just a thought that maybe that's not as big to, if we're going to say to some degree that audience is more competitive, maybe it's not as big a deal. Whereas if the console is more of a fun, experiential type of thing, and again, that's a pretty big generalization, but maybe that could be the case.
I agree with you, and I see your point on that, but I think the one thing, kind of 2 points that are kind of the same, that we need to, I think, realize is our conversations that we have with people and our views on this stuff are very skewed because we don't interact with the PC community right now. All the people we talk to are from console because the game was never on console. And also, while I do agree that a lot of the people that are going to switch to PC are more for the competitive, the mouse and keyboard stuff, keep in mind, most big MMOs with raids and stuff like that are PC. So you're going to have people coming over from things like World of Warcraft and getting into raids. It's not just people coming there for competitive that are new players.
That's true.
People switching may be more for competitive, but I think new players is going to be, 50-50 maybe, because most MMOs and RPGs and that kind of stuff that are the really big ones are PC games.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, I got a question for you guys real quick regarding that, because I don't play Overwatch at all, but
you should.
I know. I feel like the community there, I feel like, it's very, the PvP hardcore base is PC side. And if that's the case, then do you feel like the consoles are more casual in that game, or do you feel like it's just as even because there's a ranking system and all that?
I mean, it's one of those things. There's two different definitions of the word competitive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When we're talking gaming, and this still bugs the hell out of me, even with Destiny 1, when people say competitive, they're talking about like actual like leagues and so on and so forth and rule sets and everything. I can make, seeing if I can throw this straw in the garbage can from 30 feet away competitive. You know what I mean? If the three of us are all trying to do it. So I don't think it's less competitive on console in the sense that like you're going to go in there and everything's just like we're going to just nobody cares and no one's trying. But I do think that like the teams and like the tournaments and the professionals are on PC as far as that side of competitive. But it's not like you're going to go onto console and not find a game that's the real definition of competitive. People competing against each other. Does that make sense? Do you get what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
I'll build on what
because that still drives me nuts. That still drives me nuts with Destiny 1. You can make anything competitive.
You can make anything sweaty. Is that true too?
Yeah, but I mean,
Hov
like,
can make anything sweaty.
Oh yeah, I can. I get sweaty a lot. Not to go back to another conversation, but just quickly because it got me all fired up now. Because that is something I hate, and I don't think it's on purpose. But I do think that the term competitive and competitive FPS to a point is kind of an elitist thing. And this isn't calling anybody out. Like it's just it's that two different definitions. Because other than gun perks, which are, random, which seem to be less random in Destiny 2, we all have the same subclasses. We all have the same abilities. If these three subclasses are the absolute best and they're so much better, well, then if you're trying to compete, the three people on both teams are going to run those. Oh, well, then there's no diversity. Well, there isn't if you make everything the same to be competitive either. I don't know. That just drives me nuts. Yeah. It can be competitive. Just run the same. If someone's running something that's so good, you run it too.
To me, not so much on Hov's second point, because I think he fully vetted that out. But I think more to his first point, I think it matters a little bit where the support lies. So in order to create that kind of first definition of competitive, if somebody sponsors a tournament and it's PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox, I think that can create a landscape where you can be quote unquote competitive in all three. Now, if tradition holds and a lot of the top tier people want to be in PC and maybe there's a better prize and maybe there's more prestige that can come out of winning a PC tournament, then yeah, maybe the landscape will shift. So, PC is it. But I think it all depends on where the support ends up. If it's on all three consoles and the support's there and, some people may feel more comfortable and the name recognition comes with it, then I think it can be just as competitive competitive. I just think traditionally it seems like PC is what we think to be the landscape, and if it does attract the best players and therefore garners the most sponsorship or support, that will be that way. But it could be that way for console because it started as a console game. Maybe you see that initially where more of the competition and the better players are there because of a familiarity. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. But I'm kind of with Hov on that one too. I think you can create different environments there to fulfill a certain definition. And to me, it just comes down to where most of the support and the spotlight is shined for a competitive landscape.
One of the things I think people overlook with that kind of stuff, and like I said, I know I'm in the minority with this stuff, because if you ask anybody who plays in any tournaments, they'll all tell me I'm an idiot. But people who sponsor tournaments and Activision and stuff like that, they're going to go where the money is and the viewers are.
Absolutely.
They don't care if Joe Schmo has the best team in the world, they've never lost a game, and yada, 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 if nobody watches them.
Yeah.
And that's what I always said about Destiny. It may not be competitive in that sense of a shooter, but if you can put together a tournament that people want to watch, and there's viewership, and there's ad revenue, and there's everything else, it's a sport. It's a business. It's about making money. No one sponsors a tournament just because they want to sponsor a tournament.
Dude,
they sponsor a tournament for money.
You got me thinking just now. I don't want to go back to this, but I do, because it really harps on the fact of some of the things that have changed in Destiny 2's PvP and with the power weapons and everything like that. With shoutcasting, it's going to get really interesting. And I think it's going to be very watchable to see, two teams of 4 go up against each other, and for the shoutcasting to be calling out the person who grabbed the power ammo and what they have, and they're like, oh, team A just grabbed the, say it's like Mtashed on one team, True Vanguard on another, and they're like, Mtashed just grabbed the sniper rifle, but True Vanguard just grabbed it for the other team. They've both got sniper rifles, they're both going against each other, hearing two players that are really good get power ammo, and then their team protecting them, trying to get those kills and trying to not let them lose that ammo. It just seems like something, I feel like Destiny lives on Twitch for those moments that are really intense, in trials. That's why trials, I feel like, is one of the biggest watch things, why everybody does it, and why people like watching it, is for those moments that are just very clutch, basically. And we're gonna have those moments. I think it's going to be easier to call out those moments and know when they're going to happen when you know who on what team has the power ammo, for shoutcasters and stuff. I feel like it's going to be easier to see what's coming where, not that the game's going to be predictable by any means, but that it's going to play out more like a sport, I feel like, rather than just everybody's rolling with sniper rifles or shotguns or whatever it is. That's actually the reason why I didn't like watching a lot of Destiny 1 actual tournaments when it was just AS Lunar Palindrome and shotgun only, because it was just boring to me to watch. Even though they were very good players with great teamwork, everybody was just kind of doing the same thing, So I don't think that's just a personal opinion.
Any competitive shooter is going to be like that, because there's going to be the best things, and you're going to try to go for balance. There isn't going to be anything that's I don't know.
No, I know what you're saying. I feel like Destiny 2 has a chance to be something a little different, which I hope it does. We'll see.
Well, one thing quickly, it was a little while ago, but since we touched on it real quick, Mr. Popo's mentioned earlier, the one thing with sniper ammo, and you were calling out, Mtashed and TV on different teams getting the sniper ammo. Even though if you lose it and blah, 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 if you're good with a sniper and you get ammo for it, you have the chance to just wreck with it for the time that you have it. Because, if you hold the other team off or they get a shotgun or something, you're the only one that can really hit at the ranges that you can hit at with a sniper rifle.
That's true, but we have to think about, even though it seems like we have a lot of ammo too, those 6 bullets, that's 6 bullets for the next however long. There's no other special ammo laying around anymore, power ammo in this case. You just get that one, and you kind of have to, you only got those 6 shots, you either miss or kill someone with it, and then it's done. Right. So I don't feel like it's going to be too, crazy, but you will be dominant.
The one thing that, even if it's like that, and, a good sniper can still get sniper ammo a lot, can still use it well. The one thing I don't like about it, I guess not the one thing, probably at least the second thing, it kind of limits who gets to do something, because, if you play with someone and say it's the 3 of us, well, no, we don't all snipe. But say there's 3 people that like to snipe, and
No, let's use us. Let's use us.
Well, no, because Triton and I
like
both
to snipe, and I like to fusion rifle, and you always are gonna want to grab it and get that sniper rifle ammo and prevent me from getting.
Well, actually, I guess it doesn't
Lego,
matter.
you'll let us both die, and then you'll go get the power ammo for yourself.
That's
so
the
like,
plan.
It also actually doesn't matter what the type of power weapon is, really, because it's still one or the other. But if I'm a sniper, but Triton is also a sniper, and we're on the same team, and he's the better sniper. Keep in mind, this is all hypothetical because but just in theory, if we're trying to win, we're trying to play, whether it be trials or we're just trying to win. There's no reason to ever let me get the sniper ammo if Triton's better with it, and I think that kind of excludes some people in some things. If you're playing on a team that's trying to win, if you're not the best at using power ammo, then no one's gonna let you get it.
Yeah. I'm curious how that's going to play out, too, because I definitely see what you're saying. But I think we've also, from previous games that have this model, have seen it played out. And it's like, you want that person to get it, but they don't have to get it. If you're playing with a good team, the other players will have their chance. And that, like, sometimes it just works out that they can't grab it, but I'm curious. I don't know. I think that is a concern, Hov, that we need to take into consideration going forward. And it's one of those things that we'll see how it plays out. But it is concerning. Like, I definitely hear you on that, because I don't want to be left never using a fusion rifle again because you are a better sniper than I am a fusion rifle player or something. No,
that's not true. Yeah, that's not true.
And that's kind of how we opened the show, was that we're talking about just Destiny having its own identity and so forth. Obviously, something like that where only one person theoretically is going to occupy power M at one time certainly lends to a strategy and maybe a competitive landscape. But that's completely different than Destiny as it is now, and as we remember it as a fun game where there's equal opportunity, for lack of a better term there. So it would be interesting. We still have to see how it plays out, obviously, but I could see that happening too. I mean, if you really are trying to win and it only comes available, and Lego, you kind of floated out maybe different modes will play differently. Maybe the Trials equivalent won't allow multiple people to have power. I mean, you will have to make that decision to be more strategic, to be more competitive. And I mean, think about it this way: if we went through a whole Trials run and only I got to snipe one time or you got the VOOP one time, that wouldn't be as fun as it is now, regardless of going to the Lighthouse. And that's, again, only talking from a Destiny 1 perspective. They can bring a whole lot of other things to the table that will compensate, so to speak, for that. But that is a real good point for Hov. That if you're trying to win and the other two people aren't as good, that could be some awkward standing in a box somewhere holding square.
And I mean, it kind of goes back to the point that we said that Hovey made. Mm-hmm. That's one change that, if it plays out the way we're kind of thinking it's going to, and we still don't know, I know that. I just like to point it out every half hour or so. That's one of those things where the move to making it more balanced has also coincided with a move away from fun.
Yeah.
If everyone can't get one of the types of ammo. So only one person on your team of 4 gets to use an entire weapon slot.
Does Hov's name, does that say Rally on it? I can't see it quite right. Is that Rally talking, or is that Hov?
Oh man.
No,
hey, I have valid points. Rally
you do.
They
are very valid points, and the fun factor has been a big thing for me that I struggle with at the end of Destiny 1. Like, obviously, I'm still finding
Rally's in chat, and he says, "Shut up."
Sorry, Rally.
We love you, Rally.
And so, I feel like, obviously the fun factor is something that I'm struggling with in the ND1, but I'm figuring out ways to, still have fun with the weapons that I like. I'm just leaving my teammates to die sometimes. And so it's I don't know, I'm curious. I hope that there is some game mode, Triton just regurgitated there, that, there's going to be something.
Triton doesn't make points, he regurgitates.
No, he
just threw him right under the bus.
I want to move on real quick. I'm sure we'll have tons of Destiny 2 to talk over the next few weeks. But before...
Real quick, I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I just want to say that when I say that it's a move away from fun, I don't mean in general. It's still going to be fun, just not the fun that,
of course,
that we're used to having. I still am super hyped about the game. Go
Yes.
Lego, go.
Absolutely. Go Lego go. Okay, so I wanted to talk real quick about the TWAB because there was some really big information. We're probably not going to do like any community questions since we didn't have our guests come this week, but if you want to throw some out in the Twitch chat, feel free. Like we might hit some up. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about the TWAB because wow, they just released some information about peer-to-peer versus dedicated servers, and I'm kind of confused about the whole thing, but Hov tried to explain it to me. Hov, give us a rundown of what basically the TWAB said. Can you do that?
I just read it to you last time. I'm gonna give you a rundown.
Okay, well, I'll give the rundown then.
No, I mean, I can.
Okay,
I mean, basically, they said... long story short, last week that there's no dedicated servers, and everybody freaked out. Skipping along through the TWAB, they brought that up. They had one of their like network engineers. I forget exactly what he's called. Also, I can't even find the TWAB. Oh, there it is. But what he said is they don't use the term dedicated servers because in the gaming community that refers to pure client server networking models. Destiny 2 is going to use a hybrid system, which they'd kind of mentioned in passing that it was a hybrid thing, and it was something they'd done in Destiny 1. But besides what they originally said last week, that they're going to move to stronger connection based, they're also moving some of the hosting over to their cloud servers. Whereas before, we mentioned this briefly one time, but there was host switching during games, and that's why sometimes you'd see a game go from everyone's fine or maybe just one person's red bar to all of a sudden the whole game went to shit. And that's because every so often the host was switching between players, and it would go to that red bar person, which would cause everyone to, be super laggy.
Which is huge.
Right. So now, I have to look at this because I don't really understand it. Holtzman did a good video on it, and even he said he doesn't really quite understand it. But before only... you won't suffer host migration during your raid attempt or trials match. Where in Destiny 1, the hosting was on the player console, and only script and mission logic ran in the data center. Now, the mission host and the physics host will both be in the data center. So there's still P2P, peer-to-peer connections, but from one of the things that I understood, that's one of the big things that allows us to have the PvE experience that we have, switching patrol zones and being able to go into an interactive patrol zone with other players is the whole peer-to-peer because we're connecting to them, and that's how we're able to, I might be making that up, but that's what I read somewhere. It's the internet.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually understand it, but that's why they use a hybrid system because of the rest of the game. And they do, it's always going to be a PvE game first. It's a shooter, it's a space MMO and all that stuff. So I don't think you're ever going to see him go to completely dedicated servers, but also they asked like, oh, is this a money saving thing? And he said, no, absolutely not. Like we invested a lot of money into these new servers. Yes, there's always going to be quality control and cost analysis when you're doing something like this. He was like, but we think this is the best for the game that we make. So there are dedicated servers to a point.
Yeah, no, and that's really cool and really exciting to see. Like I feel like Bungie's really good at about like being vague about a lot of stuff up front, but whenever there is something that's very concerning, I feel like a lot of times if they're able to, they'll come out and explain it this way. And I love that. Like I wasn't expecting them to explain the not having, saying no to dedicated servers like right off the bat and what they meant by that. But for them to come out and give all this information about how it works and why they're doing what they're doing is just really cool to me and really reassuring that, I wasn't personally really doubting them, but I feel like a lot of people, just hearing like no dedicated servers are like, well, you need this. What are you doing? Like we're suffering. And it's like, no, actually, like this is the reason why. And we kind of are, but not really, and I can't wait to hear more tech videos come out, like really breaking it down, like why certain things work certain ways and what this could all mean for Destiny 2. But to me, just reading it off the bat, and as much as I can understand it, it seems like a really good thing. It seems like we're heading in a really good direction for what we can do for the thing that is Destiny and how the world works.
Right.
So.
And two things from that, one of the other questions was, so does this mean I'm never going to see anyone teleport across my screen again? And he said, no, like that's still going to be a thing sometimes, hopefully a lot less. And what people need to understand is dedicated servers, peer-to-peer, hybrid, whatever, you can't control someone's internet. If someone has shitty internet, they have shitty internet.
Yeah.
But as far as what you were saying, like with coming out with that, I think one of the big things is I think we take for granted how many people and how many different things there are at Bungie. Even for I don't want to say small studio, but as far as like a AAA studio goes, they're not that big compared to like a Blizzard or someone like that. Luke Smith, he may be the creative lead and he designed the game and everything, but he doesn't do the matchmaking. So when he's the one, just using him as an example, there are other people there, but at the reveal event, and he's the one that people are asking questions to, if he isn't the one working on that matchmaking stuff and the way they're doing their servers and all that, that's not his job. So if someone asks him, he can't go into depth to explain it because that's not his area of expertise.
Yeah.
So the only answer is, do you have dedicated servers? Yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have fully dedicated servers. It does have peer-to-peer. So for him, he couldn't just say yes, because then the whole world goes, oh my god, dedicated servers. So he has to say no. And now they bring out someone who does work with that stuff, who does know how it works, and lays it out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's one thing people need to realize, that just because someone is the one speaking or they're the spokesperson for a certain event doesn't mean they had anything to do with the question you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
At all.
And I think Bungie recognizes that, to your point, that they recognize that there's a need to address certain things that are going to be hot buttons with this community, and they go forth with that information, right? I mean, there's some things like, yeah, if you can't answer it and we skirt by, we don't care as much, but for the things that people really are passionate about, they generally do follow up with somebody who could fully explain it to, the satisfaction of most people in terms of, answering that question.
Yeah. And granted, I don't think that this is all of a sudden, oh my god, everything's going to be great, this is the perfect answer. I'm still wait and see on it, because it is still a similar system to what we used in Destiny 1. But as we've said 1,000,000,001 times on this podcast, they've learned things. They're changing things.
Right.
I think they know what issues were. They've been working on them. They didn't just go, red bars everywhere. Like, whatever. Like, who cares?
We want you to suffer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what anyone says, even if you want to go with they're money hungry, all they want is money, they can't make a shitty game on purpose and get your money. Like, they know they have to work on things. They're not stupid.
Yeah. Well, with that said, is there anything more that you guys want to hit on before we turn it off for this episode? I think I
want to hit on.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase that. Is there anything more Destiny 2 related that you'd like to talk about before we move on to our closing here?
I think that's it for today.
Yeah. I know there's a lot more we could talk about, you guys. I know, like, I didn't get to talk about that lovely grenade launcher that we saw and a couple of other things. I'm really excited about just all the new stuff. There's just so much stuff, but I think that's good for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around and hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Or for you listening on the podcast, on iTunes or on Google Play, on YouTube, we really appreciate it. This has been Lego Lit Flash. You can find me at Lego LE Flash on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Hov, where can they find you?
Same places, obviously. Twitch.tv/Hov76, doing some streaming stuff, and the podcast. Also Twitter at Hov76, and sometimes YouTube, I guess. Sometimes, every once in a while.
Oh, but we've done a YouTube video since we've had the podcast. Just curious.
No.
Okay, I'm actually, because you said sometimes, I'm like, maybe Hov actually is supposed to.
I keep saving highlights and saying I'm going to do it, and then I just don't.
Oh my gosh. I need to show Hov how to easily put together a highlight video.
Well, you can
I'm
find
teaching
me...
Rally. I can teach Hov.
Oh, you taught Rally how to make a video.
Can learn.
Okay.
Rallies are going to be awesome. I can feel it.
Well, I don't really have much room to talk there. I haven't streamed too much recently or posted a YouTube video, but you can find me in all those same places, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, all under Triton Please, the please being PLZ and one word.
Awesome. You can also find RezoCast at RezoCast on Twitter. We'd love to talk to you. I might put like some polls out this week because I'm really curious about this Destiny 2 stuff and what everybody's going to be running for it. Not just like PC and console, but also just like, you know, what subclass are you going to be running? What's like the first weapon you want to be running to? Because I don't know. That's really interesting to me. I'm just curious what everybody's doing out there. I want to know. Hov, where can they find more about Resolute?
On Twitter at Team Resolute. Really, right now, I think that's about it. The website is currently under maintenance, and the streaming is a little slow, but definitely check out the Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, this has been RezoCast episode 36. I almost called it episode 35 earlier, but thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all next time. Until next time, GG.
GG's.
Stop the recording.
Stop the recording.
Stop the recording.
Peace.
All right, everybody, go say hi to Abbott. We love Abbott.
We do.
Abbott.
Completely. Wholeheartedly.
Oh my god, it says live. What does that mean? Are we live already? Is it,
I don't know. Is it live? I can't tell. Cool.
Hov, if you want to be my +1, then just let me know. And
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh.